Good evening, I'm David Brown, and this is the Northern Sun Experience. We'll have Jordan Dalton on in a little bit to talk about some big matchups in NSIC hoops this weekend, but we're actually going to start with wrestling. The Super Region 3 tournament is less than a month away, and the top three teams in the Northern Sun have yet to lose a conference duel. That includes the number 2 team in the nation, St. Cloud State, who took on UMary on Friday night. We'll start at 157 pounds. It's number 2 ranked Clint Poster taking on the Marauders' Paul Michelson, and Poster matches his ranking, getting 2 points there on the takedown. And then a little bit later, Michelson cannot get up. Poster gets the pin, and the Huskies go up 26-0. St. Cloud State got the first points of every individual match, including with Clayton Genesis at 174 pounds. He eventually pins Jared Keller, and the Huskies top the Marauders 49-0. Another great Friday matchup between Augustana and Minnesota State in Sioux Falls. We'll start at 125 pounds. It's number 1 ranked TJ North taking down Dwayne Robertson. He takes it home in a 5-3 decision. Back come the Mavs at 141 pounds. Alfonso Bruno gets the only pin of the match to top Augie's Jeremiah Peterson. But the back-and-forth affair would eventually go to the Vikings. Jade Dokken takes down Scott Vandelo at 197 pounds, and Augie tops Minnesota State in a close one, 19-18. And with that win, Augustana, St. Cloud State, and Upper Iowa still have not lost a conference duel so far this season. Well, when we come back, a wild weekend full of buzzer beaters and men's hoops. We'll break it all down with Jordan Dalton next.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, joined by former Augustana point guard Jordan Dalton. And Jordan, I admit it's getting a little repetitive, but we still have to talk about MSU Moorhead and Augustana. Dragons on a 12-game winning streak now. Vikings on a 14-game winning streak. We'll start with MSU Moorhead. They beat Minnesota State Mankato on Saturday. Was that a statement win?
Well, I think at this point during the year, they've made all the statements they've needed to. You know, they've consistently been one of the top teams in the conference. And Saturday was just another example of that. You know, they were able to make 10 3-point shots, which is a staple of their offense. They led wire to wire, and they've just proven every single week why they deserve the ranking that they're at. And it's really great to see a senior point guard like Jordan Rear have a phenomenal weekend. You know, he's Northern Division Player of the week this week in conference. On Friday night, he had 37 points with 9 3-pointers. You know, he had a phenomenal weekend, and he's that type of steady hand that team needs. And I think with every great team, you'll see that just about all of them have a great point guard that runs the show, that gets everybody in the position where they can be successful. And he's been doing a phenomenal job of that and had a great year so far.
You mentioned they led Minnesota State Mankato wire to wire, still only a 4-point game. So does that sort of prove that closeness factor that they can win close contests?
Well, I think what they've proven is that they can win in any type of game. You know, they can win in shootouts. They're going to put a lot of points on the board regardless. But if it's a slow knockdown drag out, they have proven that they can get stops on the defensive end when they need to. And so I think you kind of talked about it when you're in that many close games. You know, it builds a little bit of comfort and confidence in you. But with them, they don't care how the other team plays. They're going to shoot 3-pointers. They're going to defend you and make it tough on the defensive end. They're going to get defensive rebounds, limiting the team to one shot. That's just what they're going to do. And so regardless of what that other team's doing, they know they're showing up and they have that game plan to execute it every week.
The Dragons are ranked number 6 in the top 25 poll. As for the Vikings, again, 14-game winning streak, 34-point win at UMary, 29-point win at Minot State. They're making it seem so ho-hum and casual. So my question for you is, how are they able to maintain this consistency?
Yeah, well, that's a tough weekend anytime you're going up to Mary and Minot to get 2 wins. That's phenomenal. But I think it all starts up top with the leadership of Coach Tom Billiter. You know, congrats to him on getting his 300th win this weekend. And he's really established the Augustana program as a dominant powerhouse every single year in the conference. And I think that's tough to do. And he does it by creating a culture and really building up a program. You know, you look at, the core of their team, they're third-year juniors, fourth-year juniors in the case of Al Richter. So it's guys who have been battle-tested, who have put in the work, and who have continued to get better each and every year. So I think that's where it starts. And then on the other end, you have so many offensive weapons. You got 3 guys in the top 10 in conference in scoring between Jansen, Schilling, and Richter. And you got Jansen scoring on the inside. You got Schilling on the offensive boards, Richter hitting 3-pointers. they're such a well-balanced team. They're number one in the conference in points per game at 87 and 17 assists per game, which is phenomenal to see. They share the basketball. They're just tough to game plan against because no matter what you try to take away, they have so many offensive weapons that you're not going to be able to take away all of them.
Mentioned Minnesota State Moorhead at number 6 in the poll. Augustana moved up to number 4, their highest ranking since 1988. Well, we mentioned Minnesota State Mankato a little bit earlier. As we said, they lost to MSU Moorhead on Saturday, and they lost on a last-second 3 at Northern State on Friday. 2 games lost by a combined 5 points. I know there are no moral victories, but do these close contests make the Mavericks battle-tested for the down the road?
I think what it does, it gives you a little bit of comfort in the fact that hey, we've been in close games before, but you got to get wins. You got to close those games out in order to have that confidence. And so this is a week. It'll be an interesting week in practice because after losing 2 tough games like that, I feel like teams can go one of 2 ways. They can either bond together, hunker in, and be more determined and kind of light that fire a little bit more in their belly to really get going, or they can splinter apart. And so it'll be interesting to see how Zach Monahan comes out in practice this week to see if he's rallying guys up, if he's encouraging guys and really trying to get the team to stay focused and stay confident in what they're trying to do. Because that's a tough weekend. Even though you lose against two tough teams, that's just a tough way to go out. And so you really got to bounce back and come together as a team.
You mentioned it's a tough way to go out. We said Augie and Minnesota State Moorhead ranked 4th and 6th, respectively. To show how tight it is in Division II, Minnesota State not even in the top 25 this week, despite 2 close losses. Well, I'll ask the same question for Northern State. They beat Minnesota State, as we mentioned, on the last-second three-pointer. Then they lose in overtime to Concordia St. Paul when the Golden Bears make a last-second shot. Do those close games help Northern State's chemistry?
I think what it does, it battle tests the team. And what it also does is it reveals a lot to a coach, who he should have on the floor in crunch time. When you get in those stressful type of situations, that's when your focus has to be the best. That's when you got to execute the best. And so it really gives a lot of information to coach as far as, hey, who do I want the ball in when it's crunch time, when it's 1 minute to go and we need a bucket? Or, who do I want on the floor when we need to stop, in the last 30 seconds of a game? And so I think that's what it does in one sense, is that it creates that type of comfort that you've been here before. But on the other end, it also makes you value each and every possession because a turnover in the first half is just as bad as a turnover in the second half, excuse me. And so what it does, it makes you locked in and focused on each and every possession because you have to be consistent because one possession can mean the difference between a loss and a win.
Northern State hanging right in there with those top 3 teams. Well, I'm not going to even bother to guess, or should I even ask the question, what's the matchup you're looking forward to this weekend?
Oh, it's Minnesota State Moorhead and Augustana College on Saturday night. It's going to be a phenomenal game. I expect the score to be in the low 80s, to be honest with you, because you got 2 of the best offenses in the conference, heck, in the country, to be honest with you. So you'll see just 2 really good teams, I feel like, have a tremendous battle on Saturday night.
And what's interesting is, of course, both teams have 1 loss. Are they going to be in danger of maybe overlooking their Friday games knowing what the Saturday matchup is?
Well, that's always the tough part when you play Friday, Saturday, is it's tough for coaches to prepare for 2 teams coming in back-to-back, especially when you have such a big game on Saturday night. So I'm sure both coaches will probably be a little bit more nervous about those Friday night games because they do have such big games on Saturday.
Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to that Saturday game. We have the luxury of looking ahead, at least I do. I don't know if you're still in that player mindset where you can look ahead for your alma mater.
Not at all. I'm undefeated in this chair, so I'm good and I'm relaxed.
Absolutely. Well, when we come back, we're going to switch over to the women's side and find out why Minnesota State, despite a 1-1 record this weekend, is showing some positive signs.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back, joined once again by Jordan Dalton. Jordan, we're going to switch things over to the women's side now. Minnesota State, we discussed last week how they had to be a better team on the road. A perfect at home, but a below 500 record on the road. They split the weekend. They beat MSU Moorhead on Saturday, but on Friday they lose by just 5 to Northern State. But they also score 80 points. That's the most Northern State's given up all season long. So can the Mavs take a positive out of that game in particular?
They have to feel great about that weekend. Like you said, you put 80 points on one of the best defenses, not only in the conference, but in the country. And so you have to be able to build off that momentum. And that they had great focus on the road. We talked about going on the road, keeping your same routine, coming out of the game with that same intensity and focus. And I thought that's what they did. They scored 70-plus points in both games. Had 20-plus points in the paint and only averaged 8 turnovers for the weekend. And so that showed you that they were focused, they were locked in, they were ready to go. You just ran up against a powerhouse in Northern State who, up until a couple weekends ago, had really beat up on everybody. And so it shows that they can play with any team in the conference, and that should give them confidence. And also, when you look forward, their next 5 games are in Mankato. And so they have a great advantage to really build some momentum in the latter or the home stretch of the conference season.
As you sort of mentioned to us during the break, Northern State may have given up 80, but they also scored 85 for a possession-type team. They adapted pretty well.
Yeah, and that's phenomenal for them to see them score the basketball like that. Like you said, when you have such a tough-nosed, hard-nosed, blue-collar defense, that gets draining on a team. That takes a lot of energy. You're getting beat up each and every week. And so to see them get up and down and score and see the scoring come from a variety of sources as well, that's phenomenal to see, and got to give Northern State some confidence moving forward.
Well, a team that's still battling with Northern State right now is Wayne State. Their winning streak's up to 10 games. They topped Minot State and UMary on their North Dakota trip this weekend. Both of those teams are below 500 on the year, so it wasn't the highest of competition. But is this what good teams do, win the road games they're supposed to?
Absolutely. We've talked all year about how it's tough to go on the road in SIC and get 2 wins no matter who you're playing. And especially for Wayne State this weekend, that's their longest road trip they'll have to go through all year long. And so they battled through some adversities and really it showed some character on that team. On Saturday night versus Mary, they were down in the first half by 12 points and only shot 27% from the field. So it was phenomenal to see them kind of come together, hunker down, stay committed, stay focused, and really get a win. And that has to be an extreme confidence builder because, like you said, even though when you look at Mary and Minot, they might not have the best record, but we talked about it. When that ball goes up in the air, those records don't really mean a lot. And so to go on such a long road trip like that, get 2 wins, especially after being down, pretty big in the first half on Saturday, it's phenomenal for that team.
Wayne State and Northern State, as I said, neck and neck at the top of the standings. We'll go back to your alma mater, Augustana. They've turned it on late, won 4 in a row. Shantiva Ashley won Player of the Week for the 6th time already this season. So are the Vikings hitting their stride at the right time?
I don't know if they're hitting their stride at the right time. I know they have an absolute stud in Shantiva Ashley. She's number 1 in the conference in scoring with 21 points a game, number 1 in assists with 5 assists per game, and she also plays over 33 minutes a game. And so she is the heart and soul of that team, and it's great to see them have some confidence and get a couple of wins after that. Slow start to the season as everybody's still trying to find their role, but she's been the one consistent factor there. She shows up every night. She plays hard. She's a great kid, and so it's good to see somebody like that offer some success. And she did get some help this weekend on Saturday night. The bench scored 28, up in Minot. And so it's great to see her supporting cast kind of rallying around her and giving her that support that they need.
Well, everyone's going to need to be on their game Friday as they host Northern State. Let's go to Augie's counterpart in Sioux Falls, USF. They had a weird weekend. They lost at home to Minnesota Duluth. Bulldogs just a 500 team overall. Then they crushed St. Cloud State on Saturday, who's got a better overall record than UMD. You mentioned weeks ago what you liked about Travis Trapphagen and the Cougars. So what are you not liking right now?
Well, when it comes to USF, their biggest thing is tempo. They have to play in a fast-paced, high-possession, up-tempo game. They're great at getting out in transition, shooting early threes before the defense is able to get set. That's how they win basketball games. Only one time in this entire conference season have they scored less than 70 points. And so it's one of those things. Their games have to consistently be in the mid to high 70s or above for them to get wins. And so if they're looking to become more consistent down the stretch, they're going to have to execute in the half-court setting. Because when teams are going to get back, they're going to send 2 and 3 people back to guard against that transition and try to force USF to really use up 15, 20 seconds on the shot clock. And when they do that, they still have to get great shots, great looks at the basket, and just be patient. They have a tendency to really shoot the first shot they see. And in a high possession game, that's fine. But when you're getting down to crunch time, you have to be able to execute in the half-court setting. And if they want to make that next step, take that next step to the upper echelon teams, they're going to have to get better in running their half-court offense and getting solid shots there.
It's an interesting point because usually when you try and talk about most teams trying to adapt, you want them to play faster. You're saying USF needs to learn how to slow it down.
Well, they're just going to have to. They're going to be forced to play in the half-court setting is what's going to happen. As you get deeper into the conference season, teams get a little bit of game film on you. They understand players' tendencies. Teams are going to force USF to play in the half-court setting at some points during the year. Now, during the game, they're going to try to speed it up, still try to get, a lot of possessions in the game, but they're going to be forced to execute a couple of times during the half-court setting. And if they're unable to do that, they're not going to win some of these close games.
Well, we mentioned a top matchup on the men's side this week, and what's the matchup on the women's side you're looking forward to?
It's going to be great to see Wayne State versus Northern State on Saturday. That's going to be a phenomenal game to watch. You have the second best offense when it comes to scoring in Wayne State in the conference. And we already talked about one of the best defenses when it comes to teams in the country in regards to Northern State. So it'll be a great battle of two real powerhouses in the conference and two teams that are really playing at the top of their game right now.
Isn't it interesting? Men's and women's side, we have the top two teams in both conferences facing off on Saturday.
It's going to be a great weekend for the NSIC.
Should be a good indicator of what we can see at the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference Tournament in about a month. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jordan Dalton. Well, when we come back, it's under the Northern Sun at St. Cloud State.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. It's time for Under the Northern Sun, where we spotlight one of our member schools. Tonight, it's St. Cloud State University, a school that continues to renovate and build to enhance the student-athlete experience.
Greetings from the campus of St. Cloud State University. My name is Michelle Cornell and I'm a junior member on the Husky soccer team. Jordan, who you'll meet shortly, and I are showing off parts of our campus located here along the Mississippi River. Let's get started off right here at Husky Stadium. This past summer we were very fortunate when new turf was installed at the stadium, which is home to the Huskies football and soccer teams as well as many high school and community events. This provides an amazing game day setting along the river. Late in the fall, a dome is set up over the surface, which allows for year-round use of all of our athletic and recreation programs. And now it's time for you to meet Jordan, waiting over at the Miller Center.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm Jordan Poitras from the men's basketball team. The Miller Center is a state-of-the-art facility and is home to our library, learning resources, and information technology services. The building includes hundreds of computers, a high-tech auditorium, electronic classrooms, study rooms, a computer store, and coffee shop.
We have a phenomenal fitness center with a large range of equipment and machines that is offered to all students. Also, a great feature in this area is the rock climbing wall, which I always like to talk about. All of these are great spaces to utilize and stay active.
The Stewart Hall Broadcast Center is home to UTVS Sports and Husky Productions. A state-of-the-art broadcast facility, it is a training center that provides experiential learning in broadcast journalism. Student-produced programming includes live telecasts of Husky football and men's and women's basketball and a nightly newscast. Just down the hall from the broadcast center is KVSC, the campus radio station, and University Chronicle, the campus newspaper. They provide students with hands-on experience in electronic and print journalism.
The Integrated Science and Engineering Laboratory facility is the newest building on campus that promotes hands-on learning and advanced technology learning. One of the more interesting aspects of this building is the 3D printer.
Atwood Memorial Center is the hub of activity on the St. Cloud State campus. Recently renovated, it provides space for student organizations, programming, dining services, meeting rooms, and recreational activities. Every year, the university sponsors events designed to bring students together to celebrate our unique traditions, spirit, and culture. The Celebrate St. Cloud State program is a year-long series of athletics, art, and academic events designed by and for alumni, students, community members, and employees. Thank you for coming with us on our campus tour, and if you're looking for any more information, please visit our website at stcloudstate.edu.
When we come back, it's DB's Picks, the top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. It's time for the best of the best, the top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC. At number 5, we head to Minot, North Dakota, where Wayne State's Wildcats run from one end to the other. Sadie Murrin picks off the inbounds pass, then gets it ahead to Ashton Yassi for the lay-in. Take another look, Wayne State's currently on a 10-game winning streak, and this streak to the hoop comes in at number 5. For number 4, we go to Marshall, Minnesota, where James Fort brings the house down on this sick alley-oop from Kevin Lewandowski. Check it out one more time. Fort comes in from the right side and slams it home on the left. The Huskies have won 4 of their past 5 games, and this Husky hammer comes down at number 4. At number 3, we start our string of buzzer beaters. Concordia St. Paul's Therese Van Pelt hits from the right elbow. With 4.2 seconds left in overtime, the top Northern State. Here it is again. Van Pelt gets some space after the nice pick, and he takes advantage. It's the Golden Bears' first ever win in Aberdeen in 18 tries, and Van Pelt's shining brightly at number 3. For number 2, we go to Bismarck, where Wayne State's Trey Vandenberg hits the running tray for the win at U-Mary. Here it is from another angle. They were tied at 75. After the rebound, Vandenberg finds nothing but open floor and lets it fly at the buzzer. That bucket gave the Wildcats their second win in conference play, thanks to play number 2 of my top 5. But for number 1, we go back to Aberdeen, only this time the home team's on the winning side. DJ Pollard misses the corner 3, but he gets it right back for the game winner from the right elbow over Minnesota State. Check it out one more time. The redshirt freshman had a career-high 28 points in the 1-point victory for the Wolves. DJ Pollard may not be DJ Khaled, but all he does is win, win, win at number 1. For more information about all things NSIC, you can head to northernsun.org. Once again, a thank you to all of our member schools for their contributions to this week's show. We'll be back next week for another Northern Sun Experience.